Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tales of Eternia. We are at the start of our amazing and epic adventure. So I want to welcome everybody back. Hope you're doing great. And let's jump into it. We're gonna try to make our way down to Mintz Daigakko, where Keel awaits us. We get a scene as we cross the bridge. Need to do some introductions here with Melody. I like how it's just like one of my English classes. Farah's just talking really slow. And she said over there is Rid. Riddo.
Riddo だよ。Riddo。
And finally, Melody introduced herself, so we officially know her name and the name of her pet. Although Quickie can pretty much introduce himself. It's funny, Farah is so positive that she's like, hey, we could all like introduce our names. Maybe we don't even need Keel's help for translation. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Probably better go get Keel for some help. Quickie is so cute. So yeah, the map, world in this game is actually really nicely done. Kind of a revamped, version of, I guess, Tales of Fantasia. Does have some kind of a blocky look to it, but for the PlayStation 1, it's, surprisingly well done. All the, buildings are different looking, and the villages and whatnot. Now, one of the things that I've been wanting to talk about a lot is the translation of the moves in Tales of Eternia, and just, all Tales games in general. It's completely unnecessary, and it sounds terrible. Like, I think, Majin Ken, one of the traditional moves of any Tails hero is, in this game it's like Sonic Thrust or something stupid sounding like that. Majin-Ken is, the proper translation is Magic Sword. But, throughout the years, different Tails games have translated it in different ways. And if you really think about it, the translation of the special moves that they shout out, and this is for all Tails games, it's completely unnecessary. You could just use Romaji in the menus so that people could choose the menu items. But a lot of the renaming is really bad. And the best example I can think of this, why it sounds so much better in Japanese and why it sounds super cheesy. Oh, hey, there's the Wonder Chef. See, that object didn't even look like, something out of place in the room. That's what I was mentioning in my previous episode. The Wonder Chef is tricky to find, and that's kind of the way it should be done. But, back to the topic at hand. The move set sounds cool, like, Shishi Senko and, all the moves that they sort of shout out as they do their battles. In sort of Western culture, that just seems weird. Like, why would you shout out your move before you do it? But in Japanese, it actually sounds good, and the best example that I can give you of this is Street Fighter 2. And a lot of people don't even think about this. You don't even think about it unconsciously, but Street Fighter 2, any version, is not translated at all. Ken and Ryu, they speak Japanese when they shout out their moves. Chun-Li, it's a Kineta kick, that's not English. And you've got Shoryuken and Hadouken, and that spinny kick thing that Ryu does and Ken does. And, Ryu is maybe a Japanese origin. Ken is supposed to be American, I suppose. But they both use Japanese. And if you really think about it, that hasn't bothered anybody, has it? I mean, do you really want to hear Ryu say, Dragon Uppercut Punch Fist, or something stupid as he does it? Or Blue Fireball? It just sounds terrible and corny. And people don't mind that he actually speaks in Japanese. And in the English version, he speaks Japanese. And all the Tails games are exactly the same. It's basically a Street Fighter style battle system, side view, only it's with more than, 2 players. Instead of 1 versus 1, you've got a small group of enemies versus a small group of heroes. But it's just like Street Fighter, style fighting. And just like in Street Fighter, which wasn't translated, the translation is not necessary at all for them to shout out their, moves, their special moves. I mean, do you really want Chun-Li to say, upside down spinny kick? It sounds so cheesy and cringe-worthy, and that's how the English version of all the Tails games sounds. If they shout out, the names of their skills, it's just really cheesy, really cringe-worthy. It goes back to games like Biohazard with the terrible English from Barry, and that sort of thing. So for me personally, I can't stand the English version of the names of the moves that they do in battle. I mean, it's just not necessary. And Street Fighter 2 is a perfect example of why it's not necessary to have those all translated into English. You could just put Romaji in the menus for people that have difficulty equipping them, but in the battle, you don't need it at all. And it just sounds so much better in Japanese. It just has sort of an oriental, mystic feeling to it. And it's hard to describe, but in English it just sounds awful because it wasn't meant to be that way. Just like if you think about Street Fighter 2 in English, it wasn't meant to be that way. And it would definitely be cringe-worthy if Ryu and Ken and Chun-Li, if everything that they said was translated into English. So at the moment we're trying to get to Mintz, of course, the school city. where Keel is, but there was an earthquake here, and so the path is blocked. So the only way that we can, you know, get down there is follow the river pretty much. But of course the river is, you know, pretty dangerous right now, rushing rapids. Fara, ikeru, ikeru. Yeah, definitely somebody tell me what her catchphrase is in English. So we have this creepy scene with something going on with the Orbis ring, which is scary enough because if that ring goes, you know, that's the end of everybody's life. It's like extinction event level. But yeah, if Farah has a catchphrase, I'm curious to know what they did in the English version for ikeru, ikeru. Please tell me in the comments if you know what that is. I don't know, maybe they didn't even do anything for it. So there was a long scene there, and we're gonna need to go back to the dojo and get somebody that knows the some abilities with the water elemental to calm the river, and then we'll travel down the river to Mince since the path is blocked. And sadly, we still can't communicate with Meredy. Yeah, once again, it's a really cool and interesting concept. You know, you've got the heroes and having trouble communicating. And you've got this Fibriru, which they still don't understand.
この光は一体何なんだ。フィブリルって何なんだよ。わ
からないけど、リッドに助けを求めてることは確かなんだよね。
村長の家を襲ったやつがまたやってくるってことだ。
かもね。
ま、心配してても始まらねえか。判断は学士さんに任せようぜ。
そうだね。キールに会うの久しぶり。立派になってんだろうな。
どうだかな。
So I jump back to the dojo here. It's funny, Rid's like, anybody's here? And then suddenly... Kakugo! Prepare yourself! It's like, this is the welcome you get when you enter the dojo. Yeah, once again, the moves, you know, they sound cool in Japanese, but it doesn't work in English. And, you know, one of the reasons for that is this is not, you know, a game that was even meant to be in English. You know, this is a game made in Japan, as all the Tales games, and it's for Japanese people. Hence, it has Japanese culture attached to it, which, for me being in Japan for so long, I can understand, there are culture things that you just cannot translate into another language or into another culture. It just can't be done. It's a different culture. There are points that just don't exist, and so it can't really smoothly be converted. So you notice he's speaking Melnyx there, and Medadi is surprised, and he calmed down the water. Of course, Medadi is wondering why he's speaking some Melnyx there, but for him it's just a chant that he memorized. They don't even realize, he doesn't even realize that it's actual Melnyx that he's using, which I guess is the language of the summons. Windine and Celsius, Ifrit, Sylph, Gnome. Can't wait to get Celsius. Celsius is just such a cool summon in this game. Probably this is my favorite version of Celsius, is from Tales of Eternia. So now that we've got the waters all calmed down, we're gonna do this kind of mini game, which you can come back and do as many times as you like, of going down the river without hitting stuff with your raft. I always wonder what the point of was speeding up. Like, you can speed up with your raft, but it's just like too dangerous to, increase your speed, because the faster you're going, the harder it is to steer. Oh, come on. Right in front of me? How am I supposed to dodge those rocks? Poor Medadi is just sitting there, probably getting seasick. Those logs I even have to dodge. But later you can do this mini game, and there's like some pickups to grab, like bonus things and other things to dodge, and it's kind of a fun little mini game. This game, Tales of Eternia, actually has a bunch of mini games in it that are quite fun. It's like right there at the end I can speed up, but the rest of it's so fast moving that what's the point in increasing your speed? And oh yeah, another thing, the night cycle is kind of nice. The lights you can see turning on, and you get night enemies when you're fighting on the field at night. I find that a nice little touch. I think this was the first Tales game to have a day and night cycle. And I just think it's kind of cool, all the lights just slowly pop on of the towns when you're approaching, and when daylight comes, all the lights go off. Welcome to Mintz, the school town, basically a town of students and, a giant school building. Lots of students, all dressed the same, so I was wondering, how are we going to find Keel in all of this? Now once again, I'll cut out a bunch of shopping if I have to do, like a lot of shopping or talking to all the people, but I will show a little bit of each town and village. There's this middle mini game you can play here on the school grounds. these two girls in the bloomer school outfits. That's actually kind of fun, and you can play this with 2 players, with a friend if you'd like to. Of course, you can actually play the Tales game with 4 players if you like, but this game you can play with 2 friends. And basically the ball, you want to try to crush your opponent with the ball, and occasionally the ball will get a different color, and opposites attract. So I made a mistake there. I powered up the blue and the ball was red, and so it was attracted to me. So when you have the opposite color, you can push the ball into your opponent. Or if the opponent is between you and the ball, you can pull the ball toward you to crush them, which is a little dangerous because it might get you. Oh, there we go. So see, the ball was red and I was red colored, so I pushed it into her. Oh, come on. Now we're tied. Like, no wonder she's winning. She's like wearing a bloomer, and Farah's got this really thick dress on. How am I supposed to move around? So, yeah, time ran out. Now we have round 2. So there's 2 balls instead of 1. Gets pretty hectic. But it's good to grab the power-up things as much as you can. That way the opponent can't grab them. That's why I'm grabbing them all, even the colors I don't need. Oh, get out. Oh. Yeah, I couldn't get out of that. Well, it's a fun little mini game. And for winning, you can win gumi items and that sort of thing. Basic stuff you could buy at the shop. But I found it's a fun one to play with friends. Just a little fun thing to do if you have 10 minutes of spare time. Smash each other with giant balls. Look at the library. The library looks really nice. Just the way the insides of some of the buildings look and the design of the towns, I just really like it. It feels, old school, and yet it feels, fresh and still looks nice enough that you can just really enjoy it at the same time as old school style look. So here at the desk we're asking about Keel, wondering where he's at. So she's gonna look it up. He's number 34604. Medity is like curious about the book, jumps up on the table. Quickie's freaking out. Farah's like, thanks so much, and they run away. See, that's what happens when you have a foreigner with you. Like you're trying to show a foreigner around and they do weird stuff and embarrass you. That's the experience you get from Tales of Eternia. This is funny. Rid walks in here and she's like, oh, the experimental test subject is here. And Rid's like, I'm out of here. The guy thought that they were there to be test subjects for whatever disturbing experiment they're doing in there. Probably something that has to do with Las Plagas. They're doing biohazard experiments. So this room they don't want Medity to go in because telling her to stay outside because they're not really sure what, she's gonna do now. Being a foreigner, she's doing weird things when she sees stuff. Everybody seems to be busy. Don't really want to talk to me. So this person apparently knows who Keel is. Sanku. His name is Sanku, not to be related to Sanksu, the chain of kombini. So the minute he walks in the room and chaos breaks loose. And she's jumping up and down. Quickie's having fun. Nice big hole in the wall. I love it. And of course, one of the professors comes in, the school elders, rather upset that we're destroying all of their setsubi, their setup, whatever you want to call it, their experiments. So he asks Sunk to get us out of here. At least Farah had a nice polite bow there. So once again, things like that, you just can't translate into the English version. Bowing is definitely Japan culture thing. So in this room, it's kind of interesting. You can come in here and there's a quiz you can take for prizes. And wonder of wonders, it's Chelsea! One of my favorite characters from Tales of Destiny. And Chelsea is going to ask us some questions. The trash town Junkland, who is the one that dislikes it the most? That would be Firia. Sekai. Or Firia has the reaction, to Junkland if you played Tales of Destiny. But basically she has a bunch of questions about, so Mint. In Mint's dream, what does her mother give her? Pendant, earring, unicorn horn. What? I thought it was a pendant. Maybe it was the earring. But basically she asks you a bunch of questions about Tales of Destiny and Tales of Fantasia, since those were really the only two games that existed before this one. And Chelsea kind of mixed them up. Aquavale would be blue. Nope. I assume since she was talking about Aquavale, it would have been blue, but guess not. The problem is they're like, let's see. It's not Martel. There's like a timer, an invisible timer. Doesn't give me time enough to read, the answers. Straerise Temple Kless's pendant. Oh, so how old was Kless when he got the pendant for his birthday? I don't remember how old Kless was. But anyway, there's a long quiz here. I think it's like 30 questions from Tales of Destiny and Tales of Fantasia. And if you answer a bunch of them right, you get some nice items, but once again, it's not necessary. Firia-san. But just to test your knowledge on other Tales games. Snowfiria. Yay! Okay, so we learned that Keel is not, in the school, actually. I skipped a fight there, if you're wondering. Once in a while, if you see a blip, it means I skipped a battle. But Keel is up here at the observatory. So we're going to make our way to the observatory since Keel was not in town. And yeah, occasionally in this game, there are actually areas that the encounters are not random. Just like newer Tales games, you can see the enemies on the screen instead of random encounters. I'm going to reset the room real quick if I can. See if I can run by these zombies. And basically you have to push this stone to that blinking stone so you can block the door and stop the infinite flow of enemies. Yeah, I really like the move set in this game as well. Rid's moves and Farah has some really nice moves, which I think a lot of other Tales games don't even have. So it's kind of nice. And then one other thing that I really appreciate about this game is the fans, or just Tales game players in general. Like, most people call this game Tales of Eternia, even though that's not its name, and the import was renamed, of course. But even though it was renamed, people still call it Tales of Eternia, which is nice. I love this. Farah's singing and Melody and Quickie are dancing. So Rid is going to do his music so they can dance to it.
おい、どうした？踊らねえのか？
何それ？メロディーは音楽にしか反応しないよ。
すごい。
But yeah, Rid's singing is terrible. But yeah, I really like that people just call this game, Tales of Eternia. Even though it was really, even though it was renamed, it's really nice that people just call it by its rightful name instead of Hold on, I went back to restore my health. Another skit.
通わねえよ。俺はその日分の獲物が
取れれば十分って言うんでしょ。分かってる。でもなんかもったいないな。リッドならきっと剣で身を立てて。
ほっとけよ。俺の勝手だ。
羨ましいんだよ。私一生懸命道場通ったけど。
He's always talking about her omelets. Hey, at least Rid loves her
どんなに
omelets.
練習したってファラみたいにうまいオムレツは作れねえからな。
オムレツね。
Farah makes great omelets, by the way. Oh, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and take a quick break here. And when we come back in the next episode, we'll go ahead and meet up with Keel at the observatory and see if he can translate what Melody is saying to us. We can find out what's happening in this grand story. So, see you all next time.